starting with why do we need incident management, or why should we have incident management? Okay, so see, it is quite easier to demonstrate the value of incident management in an organization, as it is highly visible to the entire organization. So due to this reason, it is often considered to be implemented first in the service management process of an organization. And once incident management process is performed, it becomes easier to understand the areas of service operations that needs user attention and justifies the implementation of other processes as well. Okay, so below we have some objectives of incident management, like restoration of normal service operation in minimum downtime, reduce the adverse impact of the incident, ensuring operations are carried on without interruption, ensuring that the service quality and availability of service are maintained at best possible levels. And a normal service operation under the definition of incident management speaks about the service operation which is operating within the service level agreements limits. Next, we have the scope of incident management. Okay, so what does the scope include? It includes the events which may tend to distort or complexity. I don't know, it's quite not visible here. Anyway, uh, distort the regular service in any way. So basically, it includes the events which could, potentially disrupt a regular service. Okay, it also includes events that are either communicated directly by users or by use of an interface between event management to the event management tool. And lastly, it is you know it is also worth mentioning that events can also be logged directly by technical staff, just like an event, but this does not confirm that all events are incidents. Okay, so some events may be just informational, which do not disrupt the normal process. Next, we talk about value to the organization of incident management. So it increases the availability of services by reducing downtime of an organization. It aligns the IT activities with real-time business priorities. It creates awareness regarding the improvements that are needed to be done in a service. And during handling of an incident, the service desk can determine potential service and training requirements for IT or the business. Next, we have activities of event management. So the activities are given below, like incident identification and logging, which is a service desk responsibility. Okay, so here it involves recording the basic details of every incident and informing or alerting the specialized group or groups as necessary. Next, we have categorization, prioritization, and initial diagnosis. So here, it categorizes different incidents. It defines priority or incident by assigning the respective impact and urgency, looks for errors and problems from various records and confirm the action. It informs the problem management team about the new issue and about unmatched or multiple incidents that might have come up. Then daily verification of configured details, providing the team with initial support like assessing incident details at first and look forward to find quick solutions to events. And lastly, we have closing the incident if resolved or directed to the specialist support group and inform the users. Next, we have investigation and diagnosis. So here this involves analyzing the incident details, analyzing all related information, and if possible, resolve immediately or routes it to respective online support. And lastly, escalating the incident functionality or hierarchically where necessary. Then we have resolution and recovery. So it involves resolving the incident by looking for the solution if the incident had happened previously, organizing a request for change, including a check for resolution, then take immediate recovery actions. Then we have incident closure. So once the incident has been resolved, the service desk must ensure that the actions taken to resolve the incident are well recorded and are readable and concise. The classification is complete and accurate in accordance to the cause. The resolution or action taken is in agreement with the customer, either verbally or mail in writing. And once the incident has been resolved, the service desk must ensure that the actions taken to resolve the incident are well recorded, readable, and concise. Classification is complete and accurate, okay? And the resolution or action taken in agreement with the customer, either verbally or mail in writing. Next, we come to few terminologies associated with incident management. One is incident. So it is an unplanned interruption, okay, to or a reduction in quality of IT services. Functional escalation means it is an escalation of an incident to IT or subject matter experts. Next, we have hierarchical escalation. So this type of escalation involves the senior levels of management, basically for the purpose of some important decision making. Then workaround, it is it is a temporary fix of an incident, okay, for an incident. Lastly, a major incident. So these are incidents which have very high impact on the organization and for which separate processes finds their existence. Next, we come to the request fulfillment process. So why request fulfillment? So see, it is a process which deals with the service request via the service desk. It uses a process similar but separate to that of the incident management process. It records and you know the tables are always linked to the incident or problems that were the cause behind the rise of a request. And every service request has certain prerequisites to be met, like needs to be proven or documentation, procurement, HR, and other business units that may be involved are viewed as standard changes here. Next, talking about the objectives. So, request fulfillment is the process by which service requests generated from the user ends are dealt. So, the objectives are as follows. It provides users with a channel to raise a request and receive required service for which a present approval qualification process exists. It makes users and customers aware of the services available and how to avail them. It helps to source as well as deliver the components for standard services requested. It assists the user with general information, complaints, and comments. Then we have scope of request fulfillment. So depending on the type of request raised, processes to implement will differ. The activities involved may be broken down depending on what is being requested. Okay, the request can be handled by the incident management process. And tools. So the incident management process categorizes the request based on the type of incident, but it is worth understanding the this similarity or the difference between an incident and a service request. The service request is something that is planned, whereas an incident is an unplanned event, right? So it is hard to manage when multiple service requests are generated and the solution to them are specific. So handling service requests as an entirely separate work stream and recording and managing them separately will serve the need. Next, we have value to the organization of request fulfillment. So the main contribution of request fulfillment is to provide business staffs with quick and efficient access to the standard services. This helps in improving the productivity and quality of organizational services and products. It also reduces the bureaucracy uh, involved in the process of requesting and receiving of existing or new services by the user, and thereby reducing the cost of providing these services. So some activities involved in request fulfillment are the menu selection, financial approval. Just wait, huh? Just wait. Okay, so starting with menu selection. So it is a, it's a type of self help mechanism where the user can generate a service request using a web interface, and accordingly the services offered can be accessed. So what we need to know is just we have to select and input the details of the service request we desire from a predefined list. Next, we have the financial support. So it is the most important concern of request fulfillment. The request is always associated with some financial implications. So therefore, it becomes necessary to establish and estimate the cost involved in fulfilling the request. Some standard requests and their fixed charges get included into the organization's annual financial management. On the other hand, the cost involved in fulfilling another request is produced to the user for financial approval. So if the user gives an approval, then request fulfillment is carried out and charging for the fulfillment is included if it is in place. Next, we have some other approval. So in some cases, further approval from other people or process is needed. For example, compliance related or some other wider business approvals. So the process of request fulfillment must have the ability to define and check such approvals as and when needed. Then we have fulfillment. So it depends on upon the type or service request. So some gets completed by the service desk, which act as the first line of support, while others get forwarded to specialist groups for fulfillment, and users are kept updated about the request by the service desk, which monitors and chases the progress. Lastly, we have closure. So once the service request is fulfilled, the service desk closes the request. The service desk checks for the user satisfaction with the outcome. Okay, next we have access management. So why should we have access management? So as the name suggests, it restricts the access of uh, authorized users from gaining access to a service, whereby allowing the authorized users with access. Okay, it is the execution of policies stated in the process and defined in information security and availability management. The objectives are to protect and safeguard confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also called the rights management or identity management, and it records the security incidents and problems related to that of access management. Next, we have scope. So, so these are the 4 different scopes. Okay, access management is the efficient execution of availability information security management. It helps the organization to manage the CIA of organizational data and intellectual property. It is responsible for ensuring that the users are given the right to access and use the service. Can be initiated by service request at the service desk. Then we talk about the value to the organization. So, by how it adds value, okay, by controlling the access to services, it ensures confidentiality of information and organization is maintained. The users get the right level of access so that the jobs are executed efficiently. The chances of errors being made in data entry or while using critical service by unskilled users are reduced. Helps in auditing, helps in revoking the access rights, might be needed for complying with regulatory norms. Next, we have some uh, terminologies of access management here. Like access, what is access? It refers to the level and extent of services, functionality, or data the user is entitled to use. Identity means it it specifies the identification of the user, which is different from the other users, right? So it is the given to the user for access to certain service or group of service, like reading rights, writing, deleting, execution, or change. Service or service groups, the user not only uses one service, instead it can use a group of services which are similar in nature. And lastly, the directory services. So it refers to the tools which are used to manage access and rights. Lastly, we have the problem management, uh, process problem management. So this is the last topic in this chapter. So here, what is problem management? So see, the productivity of the company decreases if the incident occurs regularly, and one must know what the causes of such incidents are. Okay, so problem management actually stops these recurrences of incidents and thereby increases the productivity and efficiency of an organization. The primary objective here is to reduce the impact of incidents and prevent recurrences. Talking about the scope, so as given here, it helps in determining the cause of incidents and their respective resolution. It also ensures that the resolutions are implemented in the procedure. It maintains the record of problems and resolutions so that the frequency and impact of incidents are reduced in future. And these all are maintained in the KED. KED means the known error database. So which builds a strong interface with the knowledge management. So the known error database is the tool at service desk which helps in early resolution of incidents. And it is obvious that the incident management and problem management are two separate entities, but they will use related tools and similar categorization and coding system which ensures effective communication with the incidents and the challenges. Next, we talk about the value to the organization. So problem management works in coordination with incident and change management for effectively increasing the quality of the IT services and their availability. And once these incidents are resolved, all the necessary information related to it are stored. So with time, the information helps in speeding up the resolution process. It identifies some permanent solutions to incidents and reduces the time taken in resolving them. Also, there are some more, some other, they also add some other values like, easy availability of IT services, okay, increased productivity of the business and staffs, reducing the effort in resolving any problem that is repeating, over time, and reducing the expenditure on fixing, that on fixes that do not help in resolution. Okay. Next, we come to activities involved. So there are various activities like reactive problem management. Okay. Then we have the proactive problem management. So talking about the reactive problem management, it is executed as a part of the service operation. Okay, and proactive activities or proactive management, so these are actually initiated by the service operation but are a part of the continual service improvement. Okay, so what do we have here? We have problem detection and logging. Then we have categorization and prioritization of problems, investigation and diagnosis of the problem, workarounds and maintaining the known error records. Like when the workaround is found, the problem record remains open and the details of the workaround are documented. And once the diagnosis is complete, a record is entered in the known error database so that the future problem and the incidents are resolved at the earliest. Then we have problem resolution and closure. So the problem recorded closes when a known error is located and the required workaround is found. Lastly, we have the proactive activities. So here it is used for reviewing major problems and errors. Okay, like things which were done correctly, things which were done wrong, what best could be done in future, how the recurrences can be prevented, or identifying if there were any third party responsibility or follow up actions. Next, we have tracking and monitoring. So it is compulsory to track and monitor the entire activity, and it is responsibility of the service desk manager. So we have the trend analysis. So in trend analysis, the reports are reviewed from other processes and identifies the problems which reoccur and potential training opportunities. Targeting the preventive actions. So here, they perform an analysis of the cost to benefit for all the costs involved in the prevention process, and they also target the areas which take up the most of the attention. Then we have some terminologies, okay, of problem management. Like we have the problem. So what is a problem? It is an unknown or underlying cause of any incident. Then we have known errors. So these are the known errors that cause an incident whose work around is identified. Then we have workaround. So these are the temporary resolution to any problem or incident. And proactive problem management is the method of removing potential or current errors that before they could cause any problem. Okay. So that is it. That is all about